Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call the Richmond City Council to order on Monday, November 10th, 2025. I have a motion on the minutes. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Madam Clerk, any agenda additions or deletions?
Thank you, Your Worship. We have one agenda deletion on page 14. This is the first of the non-agenda delegations from the Richmond Poverty Reduction Coalition. They've been rescheduled to a future meeting at their request.
All right, so that brings me to the various appointments, and I'll just outline the appointments. And after they're all complete, these sheets that I'll be referring to will be over there and you can take a look at them. But the long and the short of it is that the appointments that I'm making and recommending tonight, there's virtually no changes, except there's one area I'll just mention, slight change. So on the appointments of council members to external regional organizations, may I have a motion for those three appointments as set out on the sheet? All those in favor, opposed, carried. The standing committees, their composition will be the same as they were previously. Then we have the appointment of members of council as the liaisons to city advisory committees and organizations. Again, same as previous. May I have a motion? Any discussion? All those in favor, opposed, carried. And then we have the appointment of council members as liaison to the community associations. May I have a? All those in favor, opposed, carried. Each time I'm referring to what's on these sheets. We have the members of council as the liaisons to various city boards. May I have a motion? A discussion, all those in favor, opposed, carried. And then as liaisons to the various societies and companies, may I have a motion? Discussion, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Then we have the appointment of parcel tax roll review panel for local service area services, recommending that the members of the Public Works and Transportation Committee be appointed in that vein. May I have a motion? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, opposed, carried. Now, where there is slight change is in the last category, which is the acting mayors, because we now have 7 of the 8 councillors are taking turns in the rotation for the acting mayors. We've had to adjust the dates, so I'll just read them out and then I'll ask for a motion. So from November 11th to January 24th of 2026 is Councillor Wolf. January 5th to February 22nd is Councillor Day. February 23rd to April 12th is Councillor Liu. April 13th to May 31st is Councillor Hobbs. June 1st to July 19th is Councillor Galanders. July 20th to September 13th is Councillor McNulty. And finally, September 14th to November 1st is Councillor Heed. May I have a motion accordingly? Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. May I have a motion to resolve into committee of the whole to hear delegations on items that are on the agenda? All those in favor, opposed, carried. Are there any parties here tonight who wish to delegate on items on the agenda? Yes, Mr. Dickey, come forward. And you know the rules, but for anyone else, any delegation on an agenda item can come down here, have a seat, introduce yourself, tell us the item on the agenda that you wish to address, and you have 5 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
Item number 21, the advanced plan for the 2026 election.
And you are?
Jerome Dickey, 9280 Glen Allen Drive, Richmond. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to begin by again recognizing the City Clerk's office and the significant amount of work that goes into planning and delivering local elections. The professionalism ensures that every Richmond resident has the opportunity to vote in a process that meets all legal and procedural standards. But I'm here tonight because meeting the minimum legal requirements and little more is not the same as meeting our civic responsibility. In the 2022 Richmond election, only 24% of eligible voters cast a ballot. You're probably well aware of that now. That means 3 out of 4 residents stayed home. As the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance reminds us, high voter turnout is a sign of a healthy democracy, while low turnout often reflects mistrust, disengagement, or the belief that voting doesn't matter. In recent weeks, Council had the opportunity to take a meaningful step by supporting a motion to conduct a survey of voters and non-voters and to potentially establish a citizens' assembly to explore the root causes and barriers behind low turnout. That motion was defeated. And now Council is considering an election budget that does almost nothing to strengthen the very outreach and engagement efforts that could help reverse this trend. It's unreasonable to expect the city's clerk's office to innovate and increase voter participation while not providing the tools and resources they need to do so. Consider this. The city's advertising outreach budget for the next election is about $30,000, I believe, or roughly 13 cents per resident. No business would expect customer engagement to grow by spending 13 cents per potential customer. Yet that's what we're doing with our democracy here, underinvesting and then blaming residents for not showing up. I understand the mobile app that helps younger and tech-savvy voters find where and how to vote is being replaced with a new app. Well, the new app needs to be available now to build user adoption well in advance of the October 2026 election, so more than 300 people will use it versus the last time. What is the timeline to have this new app available to the public? What's the cost? This discussion isn't just about logistics. It's about leadership, and it's about values. Right outside here tomorrow, November 11th, many of the same councillors who voted to block efforts to improve civic engagement will stand at the Centograph for Remembrance Day ceremonies to honor the thousands of Canadians who sacrificed their lives to protect democracy and the right to vote. That's the very right we're neglecting when we refuse to act boldly to strengthen it. Let's be honest. That's not just irony, that's hypocrisy. If we truly believe democracy matters, not just in words, but in actions, in deeds, then Council must empower the city's clerk's office with the support, resources, and mandate to do more than simply administer an election. This is about more than ballots and procedures. It's about rebuilding trust and participation in our civic life. Let's honor our veterans, not only with ceremonies, but with commitment. By strengthening democracy they fought to protect right here in Richmond. Council's a choice to simply administer another election or to lead a renewal of local democracy in Richmond. Thank you.
Councillor Day, you
Yeah.
have a question.
Yeah, I didn't like the 13 cents per resident for advertising. I'm looking at page CNCL 305, which is the election budget, basically, which the advertising is going from 22,000 to 30,000, even though we don't have a local newspaper anymore. How would you change that? Because I feel like our hands are a little bit tied behind our back because we don't have a Richmond News that goes to every household, every week. What form of advertising are you recommending, and how much would you increase the budget, given that's already going from 22 to 30,000?
Great question. Thank you. I don't know if that's the problem or not, and that's where the crux of this is we don't know. We haven't done any research, as far as I'm concerned here. You haven't done any outreach to survey voters and non-voters to find out what the actual barriers are. So is it the newspapers? Is it advertising? Maybe. But who really knows? We don't know until we define the problem, and we haven't defined the problem here.
And you feel a survey would do that better than?
Well, I think it's a step in the direction of finding out actually what the barriers are, because I don't think any of you can sit there and actually tell me definitively with any data what the actual barriers are at this point to people voting.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other parties who wish to delegate to us on an item that is on the agenda? Yes, sir? Come forward. So introduce yourself and tell us the item on the agenda.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Eddie Chen. I'm the owner of a property on 8640 Number 2 Road, which is adjacent to the development application.
Just a minute, what item on the, are you talking?
24.
Okay, so you want to talk about item 24, go ahead.
Yes. The proposed development has a frontage of less than 50 meters. Actually, it's only 49.39 meters, a little bit short. So I would say the council will not approve this application, but the staff support the application for the following reasons. First is the applicant has submitted documentation indicating that effort has been made to acquire the residual properties to the north, which are 2 lots to the north. But actually, as an owner, I didn't receive any offer to buy this property, to buy my property. So this is the fourth fact. It's not true. So I actually raised my objection to this application. This is the first reason. The second reason is that the applicants has submitted a development concept plan to demonstrate how the residual sites could be redeveloped in the future to the highest land use, while adhering to the zoning bylaw requirement. I have a question about this statement because even a little bit less than 50 meters frontage will not be approved. How come the residual property, which is only around 30 meters, can be approved? That's my concern. That's why I raised my objection to this application. Okay, thank you very much.
Just a minute, we have a question from Councillor Day.
Pardon?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Mr. Chen. I found your email in the package, so thank you for bringing that forward. One of the things that we do in Richmond on arterial roads is if we are building a townhouse complex, it's open on both ends.
Yes.
So that as other properties become available, they can be added, and they actually use the access from the first one. So do you feel that that's not going to work in your property's situation? Because that's,
I don't feel comfortable because that way, even if I apply for future development, I have to use their driveway to go out. Although they probably gonna provide the access, the right of way for my development, but I don't feel comfortable that way.
so when we get to this item, we can ask staff to answer some of these questions. We're not going to do it now. Is that right, Mayor Brody?
Yes?
Okay, so this item's going to come on in turn, and then we can ask staff for the answers to the questions that you brought up.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else wanting to speak to us on an item on the agenda this evening? Yes, ma'am?
Thank you, Mayor Brody. Mayor Brody and City Council, excuse me. My name is Jane Fernieho. I live at 13400 Princess Street, and I'm the current chair of the Richmond Arts Coalition. And I'm here to speak to item number 20, the Richmond Arts Strategy 2026-2031. The Richmond Arts Coalition supports the endorsement of the Richmond Arts Strategy. We fully endorse the strategic directions and are very happy to see building arts and cultural leadership and leadership capacity and activating public spaces through and for the arts as two of the directions. This strategy is important if the arts are going to continue to build on opportunities to participate in all forms of arts activities and the role they play in building a strong, healthy, and connected community. We welcome the opportunity to work with the city and other community organizations on the implementation of the strategy and enhancing the role that Richmond Arts Coalition can play in advancing the strategic directions. The arts and culture sector is a vibrant driver of economic growth, social cohesion, and quality of life. This is a quote from a newly published report from the Canadian Chamber of Commerce Business Data Lab. This report found that Canada's arts and culture sector contributed $65 billion in direct GDP to the Canadian economy in 2024, growing faster and supporting more jobs per dollar than most other key sectors. By advancing the directions in the arts strategy, the arts and cultural sector in Richmond will increase its contribution to not only a strong, healthy, and connected community, but also to the economic well-being of the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else wanting to speak to us on an item on the agenda? Yes, sir?
No, I just want to ask, it says here non-agenda items.
Right.
Yeah.
We have,
Public delegation.
yes.
Non-agenda.
We have, at the end,
Okay.
we will hear those two non-agenda items. Right now, we're looking for people who want to speak to us on the items on the agenda. So is there anyone else? Okay, ma'am.
Rise and report.
All right. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Okay, that brings us to the consent agenda. I'll just briefly outline what we've got there. The receipt of committee minutes. The award of the contract for the provision of janitorial services for Watermania. Proposed commemorative veteran street banner program, the Steveston Historical Society Enhanced Operations Pilot. The heritage alteration permit for the Seine Net Loft building. The Lansdowne Parks master plan. The 2026 to 2031 Richmond Arts Strategy, the advanced planning for the 2026 election, and for next year, the district energy utility rates and the utility budgets and rates. Then we have a land use application for first, second, and third reading, the one that was delegated to 8680, 8700, and 8720, number 2 road rezoning from small-scale multi-unit housing to low-density townhouse zone. May I have a motion to adopt those by general consent? Moved and seconded. We'll go to speakers. Councillor Day.
Okay, thank you very much. Long list tonight. So I'd like to speak about a few things. Number 16 is the proposed commemorative veteran street banner program, and that's some really cool banners that are going to have veterans that we're remembering. And the banners are going to go up on Minru Boulevard, number 3 Road, and down Gravel Avenue. And I just can't think of a better way to commemorate Remembrance Day than putting these banners up. But they won't be up for all year. They'll be up just for a specific period of time before Remembrance Day. So I think that makes them extra special. Number 17 is the Steveston Historical Society, or the post office in Steveston. This is a 3-year pilot project, and the budget was $120,000, but now we've raised it to $180,000 so that we can increase operations, events, and programs. I think this is too important of an asset not to utilize it, so I support that increase in funding. Number 18 is the heritage permit application for Trites Road. So this is a historic building, the Seine Net Loft, and we're going to be putting some new siding on it. When I heard the word composite, I was very nervous. But then staff brought in some samples, and until you touch it and lift it up, you'd never know that it was a composite. So this will require less maintenance and still maintain the heritage value and look of the Seine Net Loft. The Lansdowne Parks Master Plan is a very complicated, this took a long time to put together. There's going to be a lot of park space in the new Lansdowne neighborhood. Once, little by little, over 10 years, the old mall gets torn down and new buildings get built. But what they're doing is really creating an excellent civic plaza by the SkyTrain, a center park, which is nicely, it's bigger than it was originally planned for, because originally it was going to be lots of little linear parks, but it's going to be bigger and more useful. And then there's going to be a linear park that runs all the way down Lansdowne, which should beautify Lansdowne and allow for everything from cycling to walking to dog walking. And the advanced planning for the 2026 election, the budget for this is going to stagger a lot of people. You'll probably get sticker shock. It's $1.6 million. And you think, well, how the heck can it cost that much? Well, 3/4 of that, to be specific, $750,000 of that is salaries, just for all the staff. And we're going to be buying a whole bunch of laptop computers. We're going to be increasing our voter counting machines. And I know we can always do more, but this budget allows us for enough flexibility that as good ideas come up from the public, we can adapt the budget. You know, for example, postage went from $77,000 to $100,000. So I think there's some room for creative thinking and ways to get the information out to the public. And what I'm really pleased is every household, I think it's 87,000 households, are going to get a voter guide with like all the information about each and every candidate. And there might be as many as 40 for council this year. So we desperately need that. So I do support that. The district energy rates, it's really, it's out of our hands, so much of it, because we have to raise the rates, but at the same time, we have to be competitive. So the Lulu Island Energy Corp will raise the rates 4%, but it'll still be 14% less than conventional utility rates. So it's good to raise it a little bit so that you can stay competitive and still pay the bills. Item number 23 is the utility budget and rates, and this one is a very long report. And part of the problem is so many of our expenses for sewer and water come from Metro Vancouver. And I'm not going to get into all the details, but I will say that Metro Vancouver is responsible for 76% of the sewer costs and 58% of the water rates. And, you know, we'd like to make that less, but all in all, if you look at the budget for an average household income, it's about 18% of your household expenses. So still a lot of money, but when you're getting these big bills and projects handed down by Metro Vancouver, our hands are tied to some degree. And number 2 road, townhouse project, that's item number 24. I'd like to ask staff, is this in line with the way we do pretty much every townhouse complex? I mean, not 100% of the time, but 90%. We have it open-ended on both ends so that as other future properties become available, they can tie into this one. And as I understand, they would use the driveway in this project for future developments to, say, the north, for example.
Through your worship to Councillor Dare, that is correct. The arterial land use road policy does outline as one of the guidelines the opportunity to provide access to the site via a statutory right of way for public right of passage. In this particular instance, that has been provided and would be registered prior to adoption of the bylaw. As per the reference policy, the driveway access would reduce the number of road access points on an arterial road.
And so if the properties to the north get developed down the road, it's likely that they won't require a road access at all, no driveway, because they'll access from this property that's under development today.
Through your worship to Councillor, that is correct.
Okay, so in a way, it kind of raises the value of the other properties because they will be able to build more townhouses, and subsequently, wouldn't that be advantageous to the owners?
Through your worship to Councillor Dare, as part of the application, the applicant did provide a development concept plan showing townhouse development on the properties to the north, the residual lots, showing a townhouse project in compliance with the zoning bylaw.
Okay, but now if a developer down the road comes along and decides to expand on this project, it doesn't have to be the one who's building this project, it could be any developer, is that right?
Through your worship to Councillor, that's correct.
Okay, and the only last thing I just want to ask is, Mr. Chen did mention that he did not receive an offer. What's your knowledge of that?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, the applicant has provided staff with information indicating that they did engage the owners of the residual lots to the north, offering to purchase those lots. However, it would appear that they were unable to reach agreement with those property owners.
So maybe we should follow up and make sure that that's accurate.
Through your worship to Councillor Day, if I may add, so the applicant did provide information indicating that they had reached out to Mr. Chen on multiple occasions, and that at that time the owner of that property was unwilling to sell the property to them to incorporate it into this proposed rezoning.
Okay, so it wasn't just once. Okay. All right, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor McNulty.
Thank you, Worship. A number of items. The agenda tonight seems to be one of leadership and future development in Richmond, and it's a very positive agenda and a lot of things we can have forward on that. The first item I want to mention, Your Worship, and I was supporting everything on the agenda. I wasn't at the meeting, but I am definitely supporting the Commemorative Veteran Banner Program. I think it's extremely important we continue to do this and support this, but in my opinion, it doesn't go far enough. But as a pilot project, I'm okay with it to get it started. But I would hope that Richmond would design its own banners and in conjunction with the Legion and the other veterans groups in Richmond, and it be referred through our arts people to work with them to design a very unique banner for Richmond. And remember, there are 98 names on that cenotaph out front. And it's interesting that from World War I, in many cases, there are no relatives alive today because they sent their only son for king and country. There are no descendants left. So I hope we can honor them. In Burkeville, Lulu Island, or Sea Island, I should say, in 1944, we had a Victoria Cross. To do everything in front of the cenotaph is important. But Walter Steeves came from Steveston and the farm down at the foot of Steveston Highway. McCutcheon, who won the Victoria Cross, lived over on the docks of Sea Island. I would like to see banners throughout the city, just like we do our banner program for our veterans. There are 98 of them, and they could be shared all over the city for 3 or 4 months during this time, and I hope Council might consider setting up a fund for a banner program for this one alone. Anyhow, I'm going to suggest that at committee. We can't do it at Council, but I'd like to put it out there. But I will support what we have, and I hope everybody comes out tomorrow to honor those who gave us the freedom. The second item I'd like to go to, Your Worship, is the Historical Society. I will support that. If you want history, you want to preserve, and this one in Steveston, we need to put some funds in there. I just hope the Board of Directors of the Steveston Historical Society will be staying around for a while this program continues. It's great to put it in for a 3-year thing, but as you know, preserving history is not just a 1-year thing. It's going to take us some time. As in the same way, we're looking at the St. Nitloff, we're putting funds in there. I do want to mention about the Lansdowne Master Plan. That is going to have 10,000 people on that site. 21 towers. When it's built out, it will be a neighborhood into itself. And I think what we've got for a park site at the moment and all the park amenities is fine. I agree. I think we should have more. And I hope future councilors down the road, as the development comes, will be asking for more. Just wanted to mention the art strategy as well, Your Worship. I did ask for a Richmond Art Strategy program, put $75,000 for it. I'm hoping will come. I will support this 100%. As the delegation said, arts are in the economic well-being of Canada, $66 billion. I would suggest the arts in Richmond outdo the sports and other activities within the community in terms of bringing monies into the community. I think we have to have the facilities need increasing in terms of the arts. the operations need to expand as well in all the activities. I don't think too many people in Richmond realize how many world-class artists we have in Richmond. We have world-class athletes too, in the sporting area and other areas, but in the arts, we also have some of the best in the world. And I think in all genre of the arts, and I support that. And I really appreciate that. And the other thing that I do want to mention, the utility budget for the quality of life. We're going to have clean water, 2,000 tests a year for clean water. We have testing in air, and the amount that we're paying, we're leading in terms of the lowest rates within the Metro Vancouver. We've got the Lulu Island sewer. Everything is working well for us there. And we also have the best recycling. We lead the Metro Vancouver, and just because we lead doesn't say we're the best. We can always improve. And it's because we put the money in there, and we do subsidize it somewhat compared to other communities. So, Your Worship, with that, I will continue to support everything on there and hope that all of these items go through for making a better quality of life in Richmond. Thank you.
Councillor Heed. Just a moment. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor, and just bear with me. Staff that I'm going to have questions for, they know what the questions are. So I want to start off, accept the heritage alteration permit application. If I could just ask one particular question of staff with respect to this. And I'd ask staff to refer and council to 113 and the top of the page. Your comment is, should the work be approved, it will be supervised by city staff with the support from the project, architect, and heritage consultant through the duration of the project. And then below you have financial impact, none. But the way that's worded just above that, the line above that, it almost sounds like we've got managers managing consultants. So my question to you is, how much are we paying the consultant with respect to this, related to this, which I absolutely am in favor of, but how much are we paying the consultants with respect to that?
Through your worship to Councillor Heed, I believe the cost for the consultant is just above 100,000. I can come back to council with the exact number.
Is that just for this particular project, or is it for multi-projects?
So for the St. Net Loft, only for this project, we have a consultant, an architect, and a set of consultants for the St. Net Loft only.
And that's about $100,000.
I will confirm the exact number to you, Councillor.
So there is a financial impact.
Through your worship to Councillor Heed, the budget for these projects were approved approximately 2 or 3 years ago. And the financial impact on this report, there is no financial impact currently. This was approved 3 years ago by council.
But again, I just want to point out, there is a I don't want to play with this a little bit, and we'll just move on. There is a financial impact, and that's $100,000. That's fine. I just want to point that out. Advanced planning for the 2026 election, item number 21, and I talked to the city clerk with respect to this. And as Councillor Day pointed out, this is a costly election, and the majority of it is related to staff salaries. And you can understand that that's certainly something that has to be addressed here. And but more importantly, when we talk about the integrity of the process, especially with some of the rhetoric that is spewed in other countries with respect to the way we have the electronic counting of votes. And I know the city clerk has put a lot of work into ensuring the integrity of the process, and I think it's really important to understand it, because I learned that it's not built into a mainframe or an internet of any sort. So if the city clerk could just explain that a little so we can understand and be secure that it's a integral process.
Through your worship to Councillor Heed, yes, we follow strict procedures for all of our election components in terms of the actual voter data integrity and election night results reporting. The process is, it's a very strict process that we follow, and then that are also the voting staff that are each of the voting locations must follow as well. At the close of voting, the vote counting units are closed off properly, and each vote counting unit contains a memory pack that would contain the election results. Those memory packs are then securely removed and transported to election headquarters and provided to election headquarters staff, at which point we then take those memory packs, and we do have backup memory packs as well, if required. We then take the memory packs and using specialized software in an independent computer system that's not connected to the network, those memory packs are each individually read, and then that data from those memory packs is then transferred to a separate additional computer that is then used to upload those results to the election website and the mobile app as well. So the voter data is very secure, and we have a very strict process that we follow at election on election night. And once we receive those memory packs, then they're read in a specialized computer that again is separate from the network, so cannot be tampered with, hacked at all. It is very secure. It's a set process that we follow for every memory pack that we receive from all of the voting locations.
And that's also for advanced voting and mail-in voting? It's the same type of process?
Through your worship to Councillor Heed, yes, absolutely. For mail ballot voting, we usually deploy, we probably have about 3 to 5 machines. We have those. And then as well for advanced voting, we provide multiple advanced voting opportunities, and we have voting equipment that's set aside for advanced voting, and everything is properly programmed and labeled, yes.
And what happens to the individual ballots that are put into the machines?
Through your worship to Councillor Heed, it's very important. Each of the ballots from each vote counting unit from each voting location are securely stored away in a secure location in the event that we do require to retrieve the paper ballots. So we set aside the paper ballots in properly labeled, sealed boxes so that we can always retrieve a particular set of ballots from a voting location should we be required to.
Great, thank you very much. Mayor, moving on, the district energy utility rates, and I have a few questions with respect to this, and I believe staff is aware what those questions are. And I guess my first question refers to 309, where Corex has requested a 5.25% capacity rate increase for the next year. And we are putting forward a 4% recommendation. So what was the other percent and a quarter? Why were they at 5.25 and we're only going with 4?
Through your worship to Councillor Heath, Corex's costs are only some of the costs for the overall cost of operating and delivering district energy service. Through the efficiency of operations, and as well with objective to keep the rates as low as possible to our customers, we are able, without any impact to our business case, increase the rate less than what Corex is charging us for just that capacity cost.
And where else is Corex located as district energy in the province?
In province? They have a few systems. They have at Simon Fraser University, they have at UBC. I think those are two main. I think those are the two main in Lower Mainland.
So when we go to, for example, on 310, you've got Metro Vancouver district energy rate comparison. So do we often look at that and determine what it is, or do we just do our own calculations and estimation, and we don't try and find a mean or a mode within the utility rates throughout the region?
Through your worship to Councillor Heath, we look at our own specifically cost, very specific to our operations, to our cost, external, internal cost, to make sure, again, to satisfy council objective that our rates to the customers are the lowest, as low as possible.
And so the 4% rate increase, so on average, it's about $4.10 a month.
That's correct.
So and my last question related to this is new builds that fall under the district energy utilities. Are they still required to build in two systems, or can they just build the one system? Because my understanding that's a considerable cost to the developer slash builder. Do we still require the two, or are we allowing them just the one?
Your worship, to Councillor Heath, only one system. Once the building doesn't need two systems, they just connect to one system, that's the district energy system. And typically it costs less for developer.
Now, if for in fact something else was to come into play, would that system, can it be utilized, for example, if Fortis was going to then now take over, be the contractor, or would they have to build in a different system? Does Corex own it completely outright? Do we, Lulu Island Energy Corp, own it outright and they can let whoever they want utilize it?
Through your worship, to Councillor Heath, through the service area bylaw, the building within the service area has to connect to LIC system, and Fortis, they cannot connect to Fortis if they want to provide service there.
So the other buildings around there, so when we have an area, we determine whether Alexander or the Oval one.
Yes.
And the older buildings within there that are not necessarily under Lulu Island Energy, they would be under Fortis.
That's correct. Or Fortis, combination Fortis and BC Hydro.
Mr. Irving wants to address this question.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to clarify on the last couple of questions from Councillor Heed to you, through Your Worship. Just to clarify, under the concession agreement, all of the district energy assets are owned by Lulu Island and subsequently by the city, who is the 100% owner of the line. So at any point through the concession agreement or a reprocurement of that, we have the power to end that agreement unilaterally if we feel that's the way we want to go. But it is a 30-year agreement, so at any time, we could contract with new providers or new consultants or contractors and test the marketplace for that. That's completely within our ability. And in addition, pretty much every one of these buildings will have a gas and a hydro connection as well as a district energy connection. So there's always a portion of electricity and gas that's used for some level of backup or, of course, electrical demands in the building, such as lighting and what have you. So pretty much all these buildings now are built with hydronic systems, regardless of whether they're in the district energy area or not. So it's very compatible for district energy and the migration of new technologies that comes on board, which we're seeing now with the use of heat pumps and what have you.
Thank you. My last question related to this is, if in fact a large development such as Lansdowne, the developer wanted to have their own district energy built within that, we're starting to see this in some of the large developments, especially in Vancouver, with some of the larger developers. Would we be open to that, or does the bylaw prohibit them from doing it?
Yes, sorry, through you again, Your Worship, to Councillor Heed. Right now, the bylaw requires you to connect to the city's district energy system. We constantly analyze the marketplace and how, again, technology is evolving. One of the main tenets of having the district energy system is it allows us to potentially fuel switch on different power sources and what have you. So we're always looking at how that space is migrating and understanding how we should move forward. And we are looking at different reconsiderations to what we're doing with the interim plants right now. So to that extent, yes, we're always open to the concept potentially of some other system, some other node coming into play. To this point, we haven't seen any proposal from Lansdowne or others for such a system that would actually be competitive long-term for our customer base.
And that would be up to them to bring it forward if they wanted to pursue that, correct?
Yes, and we've been talking to them and we've been talking to others. We're certainly open to those conversations and any ideas that come forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Mayor, if I could go to the utility budget and rates. And right at the outset, I'm in favor of the water, I'm in favor of the flood protection and the solid waste. The one I have a few questions relates to the sewer, and I absolutely understand that I believe 76% of the sewer, according to this, is Metro Vancouver with only 24% with the city. So I just want a little bit of clarification. Mr. Chong was very good in clarifying some things earlier to me. But when we look at the proposed sewer levy increase of 9.5%, this includes the 11.9 average levy in 2025 related to the North Shore wastewater. Is that correct?
Through your worship to Councillor Heed, that is correct.
Is that the pass and the entire build-out of the North Shore wastewater treatment center? Or is there a possibility that the annual levy could go higher if the cost goes up?
Through your worship to Councillor Heed, based on the information that Metro Vancouver has provided, the North Shore plant to complete the construction of that, or to complete the cost at a total of $3.9 million would involve $11.9 million annually for 15 years for Richmond.
So we are on the hook for 11.9 for 15 years.
That's correct.
That's the total build out of it.
That's correct.
But it could go up. It could go down. Let's hope, Mayor. In your term as mayor too, that I hope it goes down. Thank you very much. So when I look at this and I go to page 342, when we talk about this, and you've identified it in your report here under sewer utility budget, we have no option. We know that. We have no option. Metro Vancouver saying this is what your cost is. And I know we did a great job on the Gilbert Road, one at Gilbert Road that we have. That's, a very wise decision previous council made with respect to that. Now we've got the Iona coming up. We haven't talked about that here, and I'm not sure Metro Vancouver has even figured out what the final cost of the Iona is going to be here. But we're not even calculating any of that into here. Of course, we're talking about 2026 utility rates, but we've got no vision or path to indicate how much that could be going forward. We're not at that point yet.
Through your worship to Councillor Heed, based on the high level of information that Metro Vancouver has provided with respect to the Iona plant, their alternative delivery strategy involves a total cost of $6 billion, about 60% of which would be shared regionally. In terms of what that means to Richmond, that would be in the order of about $200 to $300 million. How that would be distributed and allocated over the years remains to be seen.
So we could assume it would all be in within the 15 years where we're paying 11.9 annually. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple of questions. I'll get to those ones after on the consent agenda. As it stands, I'm supporting everything before us right now. First, I'll start with item number 14, committee minutes. I just want to highlight for the public, if you check out the Parks, Recreation, Cultural Services Committee meeting from October 28th, there was lots of discussion on many of the items on tonight's agenda. There was also one thing at the start of the meeting, a presentation from Kwantlen Polytechnic University giving their annual activity report and the work that they do on Garden City lands, and some of the great student research projects were of highlight to note there. Just to crunch the numbers for the proposed commemorative veteran street banner program that we had a presentation at that meeting for, it's $45,000 over 3 years, as that's the expected life of these banners that will be stored properly in the interim before they get put out for the next year. And one of the advantages of the status of Richmond's infrastructure is we already have the 57 posts that can handle these banners already in place. So these 114 banners can easily be replacing the existing banners that are out. enough has been said on the Stevenson Historical Society, other than the public can find the scenario that's being supported here with option 2 on page 57, 58, and the positions and sustainability components of that budget. Item 18, the Seine Net Loft. I was actually there looking at it right before sunset tonight. Very photogenic. That photo should go on a banner somewhere. It's a great project in the middle of a whole bunch of other ongoing work that's happening on many of the surrounding buildings. Staff have assured us that it would be about a 1-year project from when they close the facility to when it's completed and open again. Also, the main reason for that different material coming in that Councillor Day highlighted that was brought to committee was the fact that there's asbestos in the existing walls, and to do spot treatments, you're having to take and disturb a large area. So to replace it for the different material but similar. I just want to highlight in the Lansdowne Parks for number 19, Lansdowne Parks Master Plan, it was renowned support from the public who was surveyed for that site, really wants large shade trees. And it's unfortunate we have to lose the large shade trees that surround the parcel right now to, in the future, replace them and let them grow. There was also a lot of public support for activation of the spaces. And staff did comment at that meeting that there will be some plan for a mobility hub in the corner by the Lansdowne Canal Line station for future drop-off and pickup. The pictures don't really show that. It kind of looks like it's parked right up to the canal line, but there will have to be some way to get people to and from that are need to do something other than walk, cycle, or scoot. And then the Civic Plaza, that component, that corner, is in the last phase, the 6-7 phase. The move into, I'll skip that one because I have a question in a minute. The district energy one that was just commented on, I just wanted to highlight that the city's approach to, the Lulu Island Energy Corporation's approach is to balance the cost to existing customers and later connections so that there's equity between the two types of users. Also in their report, it highlights the graph that's showing we've saved 25,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions since the inception of district energy. I just got a couple further comments on utility budget. Overall, it's $181.4 million net utility budget, but we're fully cost recovering it for the services and enhancements that we're providing. There's a number of enhancements that haven't been mentioned yet. I'll just highlight under the option 2 for solid waste and recycling. That also includes the dog waste collection program and Youth Climate Corps, a pilot and equipment for it. And I think that's really significant because in the current budget at the federal level right now, there's a commitment from the federal government to $40 million go towards a national Youth Climate Corps initiative. So if the budget passes, gets a couple more votes, we might be in the right position because we'll have had a pilot started just as this slush of funding comes to promote living wage green jobs countrywide. Then I just have 2 more items that I just had a question to staff on real briefly. Item number 21, advanced planning for the 2026 election. The delegate asked earlier about the cost for the new app and when it would be ready by. And so I'm assuming that's a component of the $30,000 marketing budget. How much of a component do we have an estimate for that?
Through your worship to Councillor Wolf, in terms of the mobile app, we are estimating the cost to be about $40,000. And in terms of the timing, we usually time it in conjunction when we launch our election microsite. So there's a general city website, which will be posting some general election information shortly. And then we launch a separate microsite, which will contain a lot more specific interactive information for voters, at which point we would then launch the mobile app around that same time frame.
Okay, great, thank you. So that's, no other questions on that. So the marketing budget will hopefully market that a little bit better to get more than the 300 who signed up for it last time. So my last question then goes towards item number 24, that's the number 2 road development. So they're not here anymore, but the delegate was shaking his head, what I thought was no, when we were hearing that from staff that he had been offered. He's not here anymore, and I don't know if the developer's even in the room. I'm just curious to staff if in a week the developer knocked again on the door of that property directly to the north, the gentleman was here speaking, and they did come to an agreement, would that basically rescind this whole item and they'd have to bring back, and staff would have to bring back another recommendation? I'll let you answer that first.
Through your worship to Councillor Wolf, yes, that would be the case. The subject property, the one owned by Mr. Chen, is not part of the application. So it would be in order for the application to ultimately be either withdrawn and reapplied as a new application to include that property, or amended to include that property and come back to council as such.
Okay, thanks. Just a follow-up then on that, through your worship, would be, I don't know if you're in position to recommend, but it sounds like you think there was communication, perhaps Mr. Chan disagrees. Would it be okay to maybe ask this to be tabled and come back in a month and allow for that conversation to happen? Do you think there'd be any benefit to that?
Through your worship to Councillor Wolf, the correspondence that was provided by the applicant themselves did indicate that they had reached out. It did also include a offer that had been reported to have been presented to the applicant. Don't know if the applicant is here tonight in order to be able to speak to that. But the information that we have on file is that they had approached Mr. Chen on multiple occasions.
To your worship, are we able to ask if the developer is here to be able to comment? I don't know if they're in the room. Could we ask?
No, I mean, this is the problem. We're not in a public hearing, so no.
Okay. Then my last comment then, that's all for staff. Last comment then.
Just if I could ask staff a question before, excuse me. But in that vein, if they got the property to the north, couldn't it be a separate application?
Through your worship, yes. Should the property to the north wish to redevelop, they could make a separate application to the city.
So this could proceed, and then, the adjacent property has a separate application which fits together, right?
Through your worship, that's correct.
Okay. Councilor Wolf.
Thank you. Yeah, just in closing my comment, in regard to the trees on the property, I know they're removing 3 and they're having to put 6 in, but they're actually going to put 8 in, and then they were caught illegally removing a tree, and so they were going to do 3 to 1 and pay a $1,000 fine. I get all that. I just, if this northern property could be included now, then the driveway could be moved slightly to the north and not have to impact a couple of the other trees that they're requesting to be removed. So that was just the point, that it'd be beneficial for lots of reasons if we could get this all done at once. Thanks.
Councilor Galanders.
Thank you, Mayor Brody. Yeah, I'm going to also be supporting everything on the consent agenda. It's a really packed agenda, and the other councils have made very good comments on all of the items. Item 16, the Veteran Street Banner Program, obviously really looking forward to seeing those get up there. The comment that Councillor McNulty made about the Steventon Historical Society, and just what an active, passionate board that is that runs that, and just really with their vision of increasing tourism and community involvement in activities in Steveston, such as coming up the Songs in the Snow. I hope that everybody comes out to that, and in the summer the walking tours. It's just fantastic. So looking forward to seeing how this agreement, helps them function and continue to improve the city. The Lansdowne Park Master Plan, item 19. The thing I asked about this regarding the development of the whole site there is, if things slow down and things don't develop as quickly as anticipated originally, with this first phase that is moving forward, we're going to get that whole linear park, which is really important because it's going to connect to all the other linear parks, and it's part of the whole overall downtown strategy, and I think it's going to be really beneficial on that site.
Then just a comment about the art strategy. We had someone come and speak, Jane, about the arts in Richmond, and Councillor McNulty made a comment about our outstanding arts. We were second to none. We win awards. We have one of the last remaining self-producing theaters in the Lower Mainland that produces outstanding theater. We've got a production coming up, a musical this winter, so hopefully everybody comes to that. And then regarding the land use application, so item 24, just want to make a couple comments. I like quite a few things about this development, more so than many townhouse developments where they clear all the trees off the site. On this site, they are keeping both of the significant trees, which is excellent. One giant sequoia is in excellent shape. They are removing a western red cedar and a Douglas fir, where it says that it'll be removed and replaced. But I know that doesn't mean it's going to be necessarily replaced with another western red cedar or a Douglas fir. I know that the arborist works with what's going to work in that area, but I just want to point out that those are food trees for wildlife, and so if they could be replaced with another western red cedar. I know the Douglas firs are a bit questionable with the root system in Richmond, but that would be ideal to have native conifer trees instead of strange decorative ones. But the lock-off suites are excellent, the lock-off rental suites and the convertible suites. Just a comment about also maybe staff could just sort of make a mental note of it and bring it to the development permit, is that one of the homes, so 8700 Number 2 Road, was built in 1950. Any home that's built any home that's 60 years or more old in BC is considered to have heritage value. There's a lot of houses in Richmond that are 1960s and plus that aren't that great, but this one has definitely heritage features like the 1940s houses, so perhaps they want to see if Nickel Brothers has a client that wants to have it moved. It definitely wouldn't be a requirement or anything, but just something that they might want to consider, because it certainly has some value, and the materials that are in that house are probably outstanding. So that's all from me, and thanks.
Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you, and through the chair. I'll just be relatively quick on two items. And the first one is the Stevenson Historical Society, and we have spoken about that quite a bit tonight, and I agree with the comments. But I just want to emphasize it's not just about a 3-year program where we're throwing money at something. There is a plan to actually make the Historical Society and the site more sustainable, develop a more comprehensive business model. And so it's important because I think all of us around the table here support heritage in Richmond, and this is a very positive step towards helping that society become more sustainable and providing more in terms of programs, et cetera, down the road for our heritage in Richmond. The last item I just want to quickly comment on is perhaps the most important item on the agenda in some ways, and a number of us have spoken about it tonight, and that is the 2026 election planning. I do want to acknowledge that I thought the report from the city clerk was very comprehensive, very thorough. It in itself will create awareness within the community, and it certainly creates opportunity to vote, notwithstanding the voter turnout was low last time, but I'm pretty confident that it will be higher this time coming up. And just a couple quick comments on why it's important, and acknowledging that when you have elections, one of the most important things is staffing. And so it is staff heavy on expenditures, and that's because you need lots of people supporting the election process so that when people go into the polling place, they don't see lineups like you see sometimes on television in other jurisdictions. So we will be spending a lot on staff, and it's well worth it, and it makes our entire election run much more smoothly. And the other thing I just want to comment on, and Councillor Heed had kind of brought this up in conversation, and it's good to talk about a lot, because we also hear a lot about election security and whether votes are being tampered with and that kind of thing. And that just, as you heard from the clerk, is not the case in Richmond. We have a very comprehensive system. It's important to emphasize, as we already talked about, that the system is separate. It can't be hacked online because it's not part of the online system. And the other thing that's really important, and the city clerk brought it up, is that we have paper ballots. So if you ever have any questions about something, you can go back and verify it all because there's a paper trail. So I just want to emphasize that it's really good in Richmond because we have a very secure system and it's all verifiable. And that's really important, and the public should have faith in that process. So with that, Your Worship, I'll be supporting everything on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Councillor Liu?
Thank you, Your Worship. I too will be supporting everything on tonight's consent agenda. A couple things I'd like to mention. Once again, the Veteran Street banner. Thanks to the Legion, the hardworking members of our Legion for bringing this forward. I think this is an excellent opportunity, not to glorify war, but to respect and honor the fallen and all who have served our community and our country. Number 17, the Historical Society Enhanced Operations. I'm looking forward to the new programming that the Steveston Historical Society will be bringing to the museum, the Richmond's oldest bank that was built in 1905 that serves as our post office in Steveston and the surrounding area that they have there. I encourage everyone to come out and check it out. Maybe even mail your Christmas cards out of that post office in Steveston. And this Historical Society is looking for new members. So if you are interested in being a part of this new programming and new vision for what's happening, they're always looking for new energy and new people to come out for that. I'm the council liaison for it, so you can always come and talk to me about it too. They're a great group. And finally, the utility rates. Utility rates, most of them do come from Metro Vancouver. I have to thank one of our staff, Jason Ho. He was working with me on a water metering pilot project with the province. And I really think that the province should be mandating water metering. So while the province has gotten into our business about how to build a house or what sizes or how many bedrooms or how many units should be in a house, what they should really be getting involved in is water metering across the province, because this is one of the things that can save a valuable resource, and it also reduces how much goes back into our sewers when you're flushing it. Speaking of flushing, being on Metro suggests that we have a regional approach to water, sewer, parks, and other things. But personally, I think we should buy out the Lulu Island wastewater treatment plant and take our wastewater treatment plant and do our own thing. We have one of the best performing wastewater treatment plants in the region. We primarily paid for it in the past to build it in the first place. Because we have separated sewers and stormwater, we almost never have had sewer overflows in Richmond. So we do an excellent job here in Richmond, and I think we should take that out. So I'll be coming forward later with a referral on that. Thank you.
Councillor Rao?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I support everything on the consent agenda, but I want to ask questions about the planning for the 2026 election. Now, staff mentioned that there will be more opportunities in the future for the advance voting, and we know that it has been very useful, popular, and good turnout. So can staff be more specific? So are you talking about more dates of advance voting or more locations or a combination of both?
Through your worship to Councillor Au. So in 2022, we provided 10 advance voting opportunities over 5 days. I should note that legally, we only are required to provide 2 advance voting opportunities. Because we're anticipating a larger voter turnout and because we know that City of Richmond voters really do like to vote in their advance voting opportunities, we are, at this point, we haven't finalized anything, but we are proposing 2 additional advance voting locations. And I think we're looking at the geographic size of Richmond. We want to make sure that we provide enough voting opportunities for voters who live in Eastern Richmond. We already do provide advance voting at Cambie Secondary, and we're contemplating of adding an additional day at Cambie Secondary, and then possibly looking at also an advance voting location in Hamilton as well. But that's still, we need to sort of analyze all the numbers, but those are our, at this point, potential locations.
So when will you know about, when and where that the new opportunities would be?
In terms of,
because this is still very general, right? So more details, when will they come back?
that's correct. Well, once the election budget is approved as part of the budget process, then we start our detailed planning starting in January.
Okay, good, thank you.
Just before I call the question, I just want to come back on this sewer utility budget, because Councillor, he raised some good questions about it. I just want to give a bit of background to it. Councillor Liu talked about whether we should have our own sewer district. most of Richmond, except for a bit of Sea Island, basically uses the Lulu Island wastewater treatment plant at the foot of number 2 road. And because of the way the finances are constructed, the lion's share of a new liquid wastewater treatment plant is borne by the sewer area. So when Gilbert Road, the Lulu Island, came in, we paid more than we otherwise would have expected to had it been a single sewer district throughout the entire region. So that sewer facility is basically, I think it's all paid for. It's bought and paid for largely by the people of Richmond. So it's a creative idea that we really should be looking into, and I'll look forward to Councillor Liu bringing that forward. But when we come to the present day, and by the way, because we paid more than our share, because we had basically our own liquid waste treatment plant, that would have been the time in the early 90s to go to a single sewer district throughout the entire region if that's what we wanted to do. But the answer was no. It was basically Vancouver and the North Shore, from the records I have, that weren't in favor of that. And so that led us to make the extra expenditure. When we come to Iona, this is just for edification, but it directly goes to Councillor Heed's point. When we come to the Iona plant, that services the Musqueam Reservation. It services most of Vancouver, and it services some of Burnaby. And the way the expenditures are broken down, the cost of the primary treatment, right now that's all we have there, is primary treatment. And to replace the primary treatment will be the sewer district itself, not the region that pays for that. Contrast that to the secondary treatment, and that's kind of what's now on the table. The secondary is paid very much by the area that it serves, but also it probably whatever the figure was that staff came out with, I think it was 60%, is being paid for by the region. So the original estimation for Iona was that it was going to be a $10 billion plant. And obviously, the sewer rates were going to rise enormously in Vancouver as the result of that, plus around the rest of the region. So what they have now done is they rethought the whole concept and said, we're going to, because the primary plant is still working and it can be maintained and it's got 15 or 20 years of life left on it, as a result of that, we're going to keep it. It will have to be replaced later, and Vancouver is going to have to face that one when it comes. It's not a cost savings per se, it's a cost deferral. So in due course, they're going to have to pay that $4 billion, but the remaining $6 billion is for the secondary and some of the tertiary treatment for the effluent. So we know that much at this point, that it's going to be $6 billion cost, and there's going to be a great regional component to that, and that's what Councillor Heed, I think, is referring to when he says we've got to nail down, just like we have for the North Shore, we need to know what Richmond is going to have to pay for in the sense of the $6 billion cost, and in due course, and I'm talking in the 2040s, then you're going to have the further $4 billion in today's prices that is going to have to be paid for the primary. But Iona services mostly Musqueam, Vancouver, and Burnaby, and that's why, to be honest, it's obvious, relatively speaking, because we have our own plant at the foot of Gilbert, we're getting off, the household impact is relatively light for the extra North Shore wastewater treatment plant, which we only have to pay for part of the secondary, and for the Iona. So I just wanted to give a little more flavor to that, and then there's going to be a lot more discussion that's going to be coming up over the period of time. So with that, we've got the consent agenda. I will call the question on all the items. All those in favor? Any opposed? So that is carried. The other item that it comes off or never was on the consent agenda, it's actually the utility rate amendment bylaws. So it follows the budget and sets the rates for water rates, sanitary sewer, flood protection, solid waste. And the exact wording is set out in the agenda. May I have a motion according? Moved and seconded. Discussion on that. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. That brings us to public announcements. We have some appointments to the Child Care Development Advisory Committee. Following people are appointed until their terms expire on December 31st, 2027. Miriam Baba, Karen Jensen, Harnu Kurana, Jiaxi Lee, and Ilana Van Veen. Then, of course, tomorrow, by way of announcement, we've got Remembrance Day. I think we're all aware of that. And so everybody is invited to come out and join the group and the armed forces and the other delegations tomorrow morning, November 11th. The parade starts at 10:20. Ceremony begins at 10:40. Following the service, the public is invited to a reception inside City Hall so you can warm up with a hot drink, connect with others, and explore displays from the Richmond Museum and the archives. The ceremony, for those who would like to participate but don't want to sit outside for it, the ceremony will be live streamed in council chambers and online with a full recording available afterwards at the richmond.ca/remember. Then we have winter registration, which starts Tuesday, November 18th. And this is registration for the city winter programs. In-person registration starts the following day. We encourage residents to explore a wide range of recreation, arts, and cultural opportunities offered throughout the season. So if you want the full details, go to richmond.ca/register. Then we go to electric vehicle fast charging expansion. With the growing number of electric vehicles on the road, the city is proposing a major expansion to its public EV charging network. We're inviting residents to share their feedback on the proposed locations by visiting letstalkrichmond.ca by Sunday, November the 30th. And then we have possible delays in the metered utility bills. Due to Canada Post rotating strike action, Richmond residents and businesses may experience delays in receiving their Q3 metered utility bills, which are mailed out October 30th. So as a reminder, the due date for payment is Thursday, December 4th, and if you want more information, visit richmond.ca/utility fees. Following that, we go to bylaws for adoption. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. There are 4 bylaws for final adoption with no opposition.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of those? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Then we have development permit panel recommendations.
Thank you. There are 2 recommendations for council. Recommendation 1, that the minutes of the development permit panel meetings held on October 16th, 2025, and the chair's report for the development permit panel meetings held on April 30th, 2025 be received for information, and that the recommendations of the panel to authorize the issuance of a development permit for the property located at 2051 Anson Avenue and a development permit for the property at 2211 Anson Avenue be endorsed and the permits so issued.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on that. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. So finally, may I have a motion to resolve in the committee of the whole to hear delegations on non-agenda items? Moved. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So the first one, the Poverty Reduction Coalition, they will be coming to our next meeting. They've withdrawn for today. Then we have two people who want to speak on the heritage status of the Steveston Hotel. So if they could come forward. Okay, please have a seat.
Thank you.
And introduce yourselves. And you've got 5 minutes.
Thank you. We are respectfully requesting the removal of the heritage status on the
Introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Kanaris Dimitri Lazos. Thank you. And this is Mr. Ramji, Sandro Ramji. We are respectfully requesting the removal of the heritage status on the Steveston Hotel. As you have been made aware, our business is suffering significant losses due to the restrictions imposed by the heritage designation. Despite multiple renovations, the building has any heritage value, and the current status is hindering our ability to compete with newer buildings, especially new hotels that are very modern, large windows. This building is too old, and we cannot compete, and we're losing money. The building's frequent renovations in the past have compromised the heritage value. The building is no longer a special place for community events or public meetings, and the required accessibility upgrades, such as an elevator, it will require significant reconstruction of the building. We have all the handicap doors that's requested, all the handicap parkings and everything, but nobody can get in the building. Nobody can go up to their rooms. We have no elevator. We have no room to put an elevator unless we rebuild the building. The biggest problem we are facing is that we have beautiful reviews as far as the rooms inside, but nobody is coming to the hotel. The reviews are talking about a very old building that looks really terrible. All we're trying to do, we want to build a new building. I know, and we appreciate, that you are trying to preserve the history, and I'm sure the history can be preserved. The building has no history. This building, the existing building. We urge you to consider our request and work towards finding a solution that benefits our business and the community. We're not talking about losing the history. The history can remain, but this building should not remain. The heritage status should be removed. I'll give you some examples why I'm saying this. I know, and you know very well, that this building has not even 1 square inch of any heritage element. We have done, and I personally have done, quite a few weeks of research. I will tell you what the files, the recorded files are talking. I'll give you some examples. It says here, the Steveston Hotel, originally known as the Sokai Hotel, has several architectural elements that classify it as a heritage building. Some of these elements include, some of them are funny. What I'm going to tell you here is funny. Listen. It says here that original Canadian Pacific Railway tracks, the original Canadian Pacific Railway tracks built in 1902 ran through the building. The tracks is not even in our property. It's outside the property. Historic facade. It has a charm, and whatever it says here. Which facade? When the building was built, it did not have aluminum siding or the ugly stucco that you see there. Traditional wooden boardwalks. The hotel is surrounded by traditional wooden boardwalks. broad walks, and it's adding to historic ambience. There's nothing like this. Nothing like this. Here is another one. It was the home to the Duke of Connaught's troops during the fishing strike in 1900s. I don't even know who that is. I wonder if you know him or if you ever met him. That's just joking right now, right? It says here that the hotel's bricks are rumored to have been ballast from British sailing ships exporting Stevenson's salmon. There's not even one brick in that building. What bricks are we talking about? It also says here, a bullet was lodged in the front support column after a 1930 bank robbery. We don't even have a column in there, not even a bullet. And he says these architectural elements, among others, have contributed to the Stevenson's Hotel designation as a heritage building. You know?
Okay. Thank you very much, both of you, for coming.
Thank you.
The other delegation is Alex Sager to speak about safety issues at Brighouse Park. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Alex Sager, V73L2. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of many concerned parents and residents about the deteriorating conditions at Brighouse Park, a park the city continues to describe as revitalized. But I can tell you right now, there is nothing revitalized about Brighouse Park. Parents from the soccer community have reached out to me directly, and what they're describing is deeply troubling. Unsafe surroundings, neglected grounds, and growing number of tents and personal belongings near the washrooms and walkways. I've personally seen these conditions. I have photos and videos that show exactly what's happening. Tents by the washrooms, debris left around the spectator areas, and pathways that feel unsafe for families. One father told me he asked his son, "What do you do if you have to use the bathroom during a soccer practice?" And his son replied, "I definitely don't go to the washrooms. There are scary people around, and maybe even inside." That statement from a child says everything. When youth athletes are scared to use the bathroom at a city park, it's clear the situation has gone too far. At this point, Brighouse Park should not be booked for youth sports use until the warming and support center situation is addressed and made safe for everyone who uses this space. This isn't just about the grass or the gravel. This is about misplaced priorities. Brighouse Park is right in the heart of our city, beside schools and a library. It has the potential to be a vibrant, safe, multi-sport destination, but instead, what we've seen is a lazy patchwork approach to revitalization. Over $500,000 was spent on an infield baseball turf upgrade, a project that benefits only one sport and one small user group. Here's the reality. The Richmond City Baseball Association, the only organized baseball association in the city that actively registers players, fields teams, recruit volunteers, and hosts provincial tournaments, refuses to use Brighouse Park. They don't just choose not to use it, they've made it clear that they will not book their teams to play or practice there because they do not believe the park is safe. Think about that. The only organized baseball association in Richmond, the one that represents hundreds of local youth athletes, refuses to use the very park the city spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to upgrade. Meanwhile, their home fields, the community diamonds they actually use and maintain, are struggling to stay in a playable condition. That's where the investment should have gone. Instead, we spent public money improving a park that even our own youth sports organizations have abandoned because of safety concerns. That is not revitalization. That is a failure of planning and priorities. And then there's the larger issue, the one too many people here seem afraid to discuss. Our city continues to take the easy way out when it comes to addressing the toxic drug crisis and homelessness, both of which are visibly impacting our parks and community spaces. Yes, these are provincial issues, but that cannot be the constant excuse for inaction. I've heard too many times that's a provincial matter. My question is, why is it so hard to be proactive? Why can't the City of Richmond lead the conversation and demand that the province provide services that actually promote recovery and rehabilitation, not just endless harm reduction? We need addiction treatment that promotes recovery, not programs that enable continued drug use. We need supportive housing that helps people rebuild their lives, not city-funded buildings equipped with science lab-grade ventilation systems so residents can smoke crack, meth, and other illegal drugs indoors, all paid for with our taxpayers' dollars. That's not compassion. That's negligence disguised as progress. It's unsafe for the residents of those facilities, unsafe for the families using nearby parks, and damaging the community as a whole. This all comes down to leadership. Richmond needs a city council that listens, not one that hides behind jurisdictional walls. We need councillors who will pick up the phone, call their provincial counterparts, and demand for a better community. Because right now, this council too often takes the easy way out, approving surface-level projects, cutting ribbons, and calling it revitalization, while ignoring the real issues that affect Richmond residents every single day. Brickhouse Park could be so much more. It could be a clean, safe, family-friendly urban park, a place where kids play sports without fear, and where those struggling with addiction can access help in proper facilities, not in tents beside a soccer field. But that requires courage, collaboration, and the willingness to admit that what's happening right now is not working. I'll end with this. Stop hiding behind the word revitalization. Start listening to the people who live here, who play here, and who are raising their families here. Start fixing what's broken, not just what's easy to photograph. Our parks should be safe, clean, and welcoming for everyone. And that starts with real leadership right here in this chamber. Thank you.
Councillor Day, you've got a question.
I have a question of staff on this issue.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We'll excuse you. Okay.
We received a memo on November 6th on the Brickhouse Park update. And in the memo, it states that weekend and evening visits by city homeless outreach team. And it talks about the cleaning of the pavilion, power washing, interior, exterior work on everything from landscaping, grass cutting, enhancing the lighting. And apparently the lighting is on from 5 to 9:15. And we have increased bylaw officers. November 1st, we have a temporary winter shelter opening. We've got security patrols. And I'm just curious if staff could comment on what this delegate has said, because I went over there just the other night and I didn't witness anything like that. So could you update us, please?
Certainly, and through your worship, I think where I can start is that the park is being used for a variety of different uses. We see a number of different sport groups that are scheduled there on a regular basis to use it in the evenings. We have Tai Chi participants that are scheduled to use, that utilize it every morning of every day. There's also the location for the drop-in center and the temporary winter shelter. And it is, the intersection of these uses that has resulted in maybe some of the challenges that we have seen, that we are hearing from some of our residents and from of our sport organizations. And certainly that staff have taken a collaborative approach to helping to address. So in addition to the number of things that you've just mentioned, Councillor Day, of late, we have increased bylaws presence during the times of sport use. We have added additional security during the times of sport use. And we've worked with the provider of the temporary winter shelter, and all of these groups are working together to ensure that the area is maintained, that is kept clean, that access is provided to the change rooms, which are the location that the sport user groups use for washrooms and for storage of some of their equipment, and to ensure that the area is maintained safely for the use of the park.
Isn't it true that, I think was it last year or the year before, we changed operators because we weren't happy with the way the previous operator was dealing with things like the bathrooms? But we have a new operator, I believe it's called, help me here. Progressive, that is now making sure the bathrooms are clean and checking them and so on and so forth.
Through your worship to Councillor Day. Last year, we had 2 operators. We had Turning Point Recovery Society that was operating the drop-in center, and we had Progressive Housing Society operating the temporary winter shelter. As of last April, Progressive Housing Society has taken over the operations of the drop-in center. They are also operating the temporary winter shelter for the 2025-2026 winter season. So we have the continuity of one operator for those 2 operations this winter season.
Okay, and we've got the homeless shelter in the wintertime here, and then also over at South Arm. And I've just received a report, all council did, from the homelessness count. And I understand from that Richmond actually had a reduction in unsheltered homeless by 11% between 2023 and 2025. Is that why we're seeing, no tents along Garden or Granville Avenue and that sort of thing?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, as Mr. Miller has communicated to council, there is a collaborative approach that is being taken amongst a number of service providers, including city departments, to take a proactive approach to addressing homelessness in the city. There have been numerous actions that have been advanced around Break House to improve what is happening within that park, working closely with the operator, with the drop-in center, and with the winter shelter, which is now opened, as well as the homelessness outreach team, as well as our shelter provider at Horseshoe Way.
And while we're doing this, we're also looking for other locations because we're always open to new ideas. But have we had any luck on that so far?
That you can talk about.
Through your worship to Councillor Day, we continue to look at opportunities to improve the situation around homelessness in terms of talking to the province, working with our service providers, looking at ways to find pathways into housing for those that are living in the rough, as well as opportunities to connect to different resources that are available in the community.
Okay. This speaker spoke about the Baseball Association. Can we ask that you reach out to them and find out what's happening there?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, certainly, and I can assure you that we are in regular communications with our sport user groups all the time, but also about the use of this park.
Okay, so we do have regular sport user groups using the park, but maybe just follow up with that particular association.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Councillor Howe.
Yeah, Your Worship. Yeah, actually, I follow up on that question. So do we have information about the utilization rate of this park and spot space? Say, for example, in comparison to the space that was just north of the street. So is this space underutilized?
Through your worship to Councillor Howe, certainly we do keep information about the utilization of our parks in comparison to Minaroo Park, which I believe you're referring to, which is quite possibly one of our busiest parks across the entire city. Certainly this park is not utilized to that extent. Currently for scheduled sport use, it is being utilized primarily on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings. For soccer, there are other groups, both soccer and baseball, that are using it on a bit more irregular basis as well for tournaments or other needs that arise throughout the season. I will note that the new field, the new artificial turf infield, that project completed only about mid this year, opened to the public July 1st. That was midway through the baseball season. Schedules for that season had already been allocated, and still we had a number of groups come forward to utilize that space and utilize it for a number of events. We anticipate that as we look into the future that the use of the park will continue to grow, and we'll work with our sport organizations to do that.
Well, I think it's important for us to have that kind of information, whether or not the groups being mentioned was kind of intimidated, from using that park. Now, you mentioned Tai Chi, and actually, I've been approached by those people who practice Tai Chi in the park several times, saying that they did not feel safe, and some of them actually left and did not use that space anymore. So there's certain groups, at least, are being affected and being hesitant to use the space.
All right, more to come. All right, may I have a motion to rise and report? All those in favor, opposed, carried. And we are now adjourned. Thank you.